We're talking in college hoops on a Tuesday night. That's right. We promised you some college basketball action besides a Friday, and we finally have delivered. There's the man, Jim Feist himself. How's it going, Jim?
It's been a busy day. It's been a busy week. Been a busy couple weeks, but we're still rocking and rolling, picking winners, collecting the cash. That's the idea.
Yeah, a lot going on. It's a week here on Proline TV where you're getting hockey, you're getting NASCAR, you're getting golf, you're getting horse racing, you're getting college basketball. And you know what? I might have left something out. So there's a lot going on here now. Who said things get slow after football season?
Oh,
not us here at Proline TV.
It doesn't get slow, that's for sure.
And baseball's kicking in matter of fact, they're already playing spring training games, aren't they?
I already got a couple of total win totals for the season.
There you go. See? So have you talked about those on the air yet? Or you were saving them for a preseason preview show?
No, I've been focused on the college hoops, and for the next 2 weeks or so, or 3 weeks, it will be college hoops because I want to focus and win some money. I don't want to get too distracted.
Oh yeah, we've got definitely almost a month actually of hardcore college basketball. Next week, the conference championships, the tournaments begin. So we talked about that on Friday. We had a full slate on Friday. Your best play came through. That was a really close, crazy end of the game between BYU and Arizona on Saturday night. Did you see how that ended?
Yes, and there's a lot of crazy endings to these games. The thing about it is at this time of year, the odds makers, their lines are sharper, and they know more about each team, so they're not doing you any favors. And when they get into the NCAA and they're playing different teams in different styles, there's a little bit more of an opening for mistakes to be made by the odds makers and the handicappers, because they're playing different styles, on different courts, and now they're playing teams that they're familiar with. So the odds this time of year are a little bit tighter.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan, even though we came out ahead with the BYU win, and that was an outright win, outright W at Arizona. They were getting 7, but they wound up obviously not only covering but winning the game. But in the manner in which they won the game, it's nice that you get the win, you take it, you move on. But I mean, it's not the way you want to win the game like that. It's just the officiating. I mean, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Why are you deciding the game on such a touchy call like that, which is going to decide the game?
Officiating in all sports is pathetic. It's not even bad. It's just pathetic.
But basketball, among all the other sports, because of the fact that you get those situations, it's just but we see it a lot, and it's I don't know. I mean, I guess
you got to remember too that the officials. I mean, it's not an easy job. Number one,
cry me a river.
They have to make a lot of calls throughout the game.
What are you, a coach?
They're going to make mistakes, and unfortunately, when they put their nose in the ring at the end of the game and it decides the game, that even makes it worse.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I have no problem dealing with the the bad calls and all that stuff. And it's like you said, it's not easy. It's going to happen. But it's those things at the end. I mean, look, my team won a national championship because of it. I don't know if you remember the Michigan Seton Hall national championship where that game went down to the wire and they called that same type of foul, like a little touchy foul on Michigan with about, 3 or 4 seconds left. And then Denard Robinson, I think it was Denard Robinson, goes up, hits two free throws. Game was over. I mean, a national championship. So, yeah, but it's basketball. So you got to live with it. I know we haven't talked a lot about futures lately. Just taking a look at some of the futures. I know you're starting to gravitate towards a specific team. You seem to be really you're starting to get fixated on a team that is playing some good ball right now, even though they're coming off a loss. That was kind of predictable. Missouri is sitting there at 30-1. What do you think about Missouri as a sleeper pick to win the national championship, get to the Final Four?
Well, I don't think the price is right. I think it needs to be higher than that. I like Missouri. I like them to be a sleeper in the tournament, their tournament. But if you're talking about a national championship, I think you need to be getting more than 30-1.
Well, I think the problem is these teams here are vulnerable, and just the whole tournament's going to be wide open. And I'm sorry, but the difference in talent between this team and that team is not very big.
You can take a team like Missouri, and they play against Alabama the other day, gets 110 points, but Alabama has no defense. So now everything changes with the styles, and that's where it's going to come into. When you talk about Houston, you're talking about a team that creates the style. They create the style. They're physical, offensive and defensive rebounding. They don't need a style to win. They can create a style that you have to try to beat. And now, which is one of the things I did today on that, is now that they can score because they have some good outside shooting as well, which is unusual for the last couple of years for them. They haven't been that good from being able to score, but now they can. And so they got the defense. You got the defensive rebounding, offensive rebounding, the physicality, the great coach, and you can score. They become dangerous. I don't
think they're bad. I think even though I don't foresee that number changing much between now and the tournament. And come tournament time, that's probably not a bad number.
Well, I'm not going to bet a team at 70 at that kind of price. I mean, 8-1. It's not enough. 7-1, 7.5-1. It's not enough. What I would do with a team like that is I'd roll it over.
You could check out the rollover video that we did a couple of weeks ago. We're not going to go into all that stuff, but check that video out. It's a specific strategic way.
You get a much better price that way. It's you just bet them on the money line each game, and whatever you get in your pocket, you bet it on the next game.
I mean, wouldn't you in a situation with like the first couple of games of the tournament, though, if they're like a 18-point favorite or a 13-point favorite and you think they're going to win, and I mean, you wouldn't even touch them. Wouldn't that be correct? Well, just wait until the Sweet 16.
You're investing like you are in a stock. You're just going to put $100 down on them. I mean, whatever your comfort level is, of course, it could be $20, it could be $10, or it could be $50,000. It depends on your bankroll and your comfort level. So you put $100 down on Houston to win the first game. They win the first game. Now you take whatever your $100 plus what you won, and you put it on the money line in the second game, and the third game, and the fourth game, and the fifth game, and now you're talking some money, but your investment was simply $100. So it's no big deal.
Let's see. Let me see if I get something big here. What's the biggest lines we're getting here? Wow, surprised. Oh, can't use that. All right, let's use something a little smaller. Okay, so I got a 13-point line here. The winner is minus 1,100. So let me go ahead and if I put $100. Okay, so if I put $100 on a minus 1,100, I'm making $9.
So you're $109.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that I don't know. It just seems to me that at a minus 1,100, to make $9, I mean, why wouldn't you just wait? Like, why would you? I say I understand what you're saying, and maybe this is more so for, I guess, if you're a high roller, but to put $100 to make 9, I mean, I wouldn't feel like that would make.
Suppose you put 100,000 down.
Sure.
100,000. So
Let's see what that says.
It's relative to your bankroll. $9 is a lot of money. You're getting back in one game in one night 9%. So
1,000 is 90. 10,000 is 900. And 100,000 is 9,000. So now we're talking. But of course, most of our audience doesn't have $100,000.
Everybody's bankroll is different. So $100 for one man is equal to 100,000 to another man.
I don't know. Because you're not where I am and where most people are. I don't see why gaining $9 in the first round. Well, by the way, that's 1,100.
I'm going to tell you something. This is not our decision to make. This is up to the person. Hey, a man buys a house for $500, a house, which is basically a fixer-upper, and he puts $500. He buys it for $500. He puts $50 into it to fix it up, to paint it or something. And another guy buys a house for $5 million, and he puts in $5 million to upgrade it. Now he's got a $10 million house. But that man, that $10 million is FU money. It doesn't matter. So to me and you, it's not our job to tell them what to bet. It's their bankroll that tells them what to bet. So in my case, the right thing to do, if you're going to bet Houston to win the national championship, then you just got to roll. You bet the $100 and you roll it over. Hold on. How to answer that. Okay.
I don't know. It just, again, because if someone like me has only 100, like if I have $100 and that's my my window, that's obviously means I'm at a certain level. That would be significant for me because we've seen number 1 seeds, number 2 seeds lose before in the first round, and I'm investing $100 to make $9.
So you lose your $9. You lose your $100.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why would I do that? Why don't I just wait for the second round?
Well, let's look at it this way. But okay, obviously, right, the difference between you and I is
a lot of money.
You do one thing for a living. I do something else. So to me, a $9 return on a $100 investment is not a bad return. I don't mind that. That's a pretty decent return. And
let me ask you a question. Statistically speaking, what are we talking about? Like how rare is it percentage wise for that type of bet to lose? Minus 1,100.
It's extremely rare.
Okay.
Extremely rare.
Okay.
Now let me ask you, what's the percentage? What's $9 to 100? What's the percentage?
10.
Okay. If I gave you $100 today and you give me back 110 tomorrow, that's what loan sharks do. Okay. So they're happy with half that. I'll lend you $100 today. Next Monday, you give me 105 back. I made 5% in a week. That's damn good money. You multiply that over 52 weeks. So you're not looking at it as the percentage of return on your investment. You're looking simply at $9. Who gives a damn about $9? But that's not the point. That's not the point. If I tell you to buy Bitcoin today at 87,000 and it goes up to 95,000 tomorrow, man, that's pretty good. That's pretty goddamn good. If it goes up to 90,000, then you say, okay, I made 3,000 in a day. But so everything's about percentages. It's not just about the dollars, it's the percent. You're going to pay me 10% for one night of basketball? That's pretty goddamn good.
And are there a lot of high stake gamblers that wind up doing that a lot?
You ever talk about fights, boxing? Okay.
No, not
Okay.
anymore.
Back in the day when
Back in the day when we all paid attention, yes.
okay, when everybody, you have the MMA, you got
Well, that's not boxing, but
you
yeah.
got all that stuff. The fighter will go into a fight. He's 12-1, or like here in the basketball, and they bet money lines. That's what you do. You bet money lines. You might
Yeah.
bet over and under on rounds. That's possible, but no, the $9 return on $100 bet in one day is a damn good return.
Yeah, no, I just asked. Is that what do gamblers is that something that that might even be certain strategies that they employ a lot? Not futures like that or rollovers, but hey, you know what? I I, I think because it's so rare for these teams to get upset that I'm going to pick a lot of these situations where I'm just going to go on the money line.
I know somebody that bet $44,000 for a $5,000 return, and he lost.
44,000 for a $5,000 return. So what were the odds on that?
Well, I don't know. I can't calculate in my brain right now. But the next day, he lost the bet. He lost the 44,000.
Did okay.
Yes. Okay, so he's going to have to do that 10 more times to get
it back.
44,000 back. Yeah.
So again, it happens. Yeah, you got to pick your spots if you're going to play that way. That's for sure. Okay, so let's get into it. We don't have as big as a number of games on Saturday, of course, but there are still games. And this is for Wednesday, obviously. We're recording this on Tuesday night. And maybe the biggest game is the first game. And that is between Michigan State and Maryland.
It's a hell of a game.
Yes. And both teams are red hot. Of course, everybody knows what's going on, more so with Michigan State because they've been playing in some really big games lately. But Maryland has been equally as hot. And that's the thing that you do notice, that while both teams are equally hot, just recently, even though Maryland has a nice win here against Wisconsin, this was a home win. These last 4 wins were all against non-tourney teams. But Michigan State has been really playing tough tourney match basketball, and they've won all 3 of them by 9 or more, including a big win at Michigan not too long ago. They've also won 6 straight against Maryland and covered, I believe, 5 straight against them as well. But all 6 of those wins have been by 10 or less, including 5, 4, 2, and 2 points each. So they've been even though they've won 6 straight, they've all been pretty relatively close games. Maryland is 16-1 at home, and they've won 8 out of 9.
Well, let's start with the most important thing right now. What's the line that you're
3.5 Maryland, and I like that for Michigan State.
I'm taking Michigan State, and I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it to 4. I'm going to pay the little extra juice. I'm going to take 4. I'm going to on Michigan State plus 4.
Yep. Yeah, they're just playing. They're just playing the best basketball of the season.
Let me give you a little bit of my own philosophy about. I care about what's happening now. I really don't spend a lot of time looking back at what they did 10 games ago against each other or the last 15 years. I consider it because there's a history between these teams. But more and more, we're going to get teams not playing with history because of the consolidation of these conferences where USC never played Michigan State before, and they never played in Michigan State before. And so we're going to have to go away from this historical handicapping and look at what the numbers are today against expected results, expected performance on a daily, monthly basis. You can't go back that far when you don't have that kind of history to even look at. And then the argument is what happened the last 10 years as important as what's happened in the last 30 days? I'm going to go with the 30 days. And we're going to have to go in that direction because we're not going to have the 10-year history to look at, because the history is being wiped out by the consolidations of these conferences where these teams, the historical trends are gone because they're not playing each other anymore.
Well, not all of them, but a lot of them.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can pick at it. No, no, not all of them. I'm not trying to say across the board, but in a lot of cases, a lot of your historical trends are gone. I mean, Texas was not in the same conference last year, for example. A lot of these teams weren't in the same. These two happen to be, but Maryland used to be an ACC team.
Yeah, it's amazing. It seems like even though it's only been a few years, it's like you're already, I don't know, it's probably been 10 years, 8 years. It just, you kind of forget that already. Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. They used to be an ACC team.
Correct.
So it just shows you how quickly you can forget. Anyway,
I don't look at the historical as much, and because we're not going to always have it, and
that's why I like the difference in handicapping styles between you and Mark, because you're both successful, but you both have different philosophies.
Well, the problem, and I feel bad about Mark in this situation because Mark is extremely good at what he does. His database is excellent. The problem is a lot of his stuff is being wiped out by these consolidations, and he's adjusted. I mean, the other night he had a great play with Kansas. I can't remember who they played, but
you mean the Oklahoma State blowout?
Yeah, I mean he picked that one. That was perfect. I mean, he did a great job on that. We don't always have that now because we're wiping out these historical trends. But Mark has always been a winner, and he will figure it out because that's what he does.
Okay, let's go to the SEC as there is a matchup between, we got several of them tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Vandy and A&M. A&M right now is a 6.5 point favorite. And this is a very big game for Vanderbilt. Vandy coming off a nice win, their last time out, and they needed that. And they are still, though, on the bubble. They're in the SEC. That's going to help them. They're probably going to get in as long as they keep, playing relatively well down the stretch. A win like this.
Why is it more important to Vandy than A&M?
Oh, A&M's already in the tournament. Slam dunk. They got nothing to worry about. All they're playing for is seeding.
I mean, they have the same record.
I'm just telling you. That's the way it is. A&M is definitely in the tournament, and Vandy is on the bubble.
Well, can you explain to the people and myself why that's the case?
Well, first of all, we'd have to take a look.
They have the same record.
Well, first of all, we have to take a look at the standings. So let's do that. Where are the standings?
Well, I just think the followers would like to know what the reason behind that is.
Yeah, it does get interesting when you do put these things together, and then you go, wait a second, why is this team second in the conference and the other team is, and you don't realize they're both at the same record, but one is second in the conference and the other is 12th. You go, oh, that's because the other team has a terrible conference record. Let's see. This is the Big 10. We need the Big 12. No, the SEC. I got to go all the way down here. All right. So let's see. Here we go. All right. So Texas A&M is right here at 9-5. Vandy is at 6-8. So there's a 3-game difference inside the conference.
That's huge.
Throw in the fact that you got the rankings, obviously. And I think Texas A&M is ranked. I believe they're ranked. So that's pretty much that's part of it. And
that's why I wanted to point that out, because when you look at it on the surface, you say, okay, why is it more, why is it more important to one than the other? But you look at the conference record, obviously, that's the difference.
Yes. And by the way, the spread's only 6.5. You would think that maybe, because of course Texas A&M being the home team too, so you would think that maybe. Matter of fact, just so you know, Texas A&M right now is the 12th ranked team in the country, and here they are, 1, 2, 3, 4, tied for 4th, and yet they're the 12th ranked team in the country. So, but that's the SEC for you. That's how strong it is.
Vanderbilt has they have decent numbers on the road. They're not terrible. A&M 9-4 against the spread at home. That's all games. But they do have a little bit of an edge when you're talking about power ratings home and away. So it's the number is right. And not every game is bettable. And if I was making this line, I would probably make it 5.5. That would be my number, 5.5.
Okay.
So there's no edge to bet it. None.
Yeah, I think for me, if I was going to touch this game, it would be like if I'm the type of person who likes to find money line bets, this would be a game that I would say, maybe I put something on money line. Again, realizing the significance that this would be for Vanderbilt. But look at that schedule for Vandy. In their next 3 games, they're going to be playing some really tough teams. They got Texas A&M, they got Missouri next, and then Arkansas, a fellow bubble team. And that'll be really huge. Then now on the road to Georgia, not an easy one, but if you're going to be a tourney team, you better win that one. So, yeah. So they're like one. If they can get a win, either more than likely the Missouri game because they're at home. If they can win one of these next 2 games, that should do it. That should put them in the tournament for sure. I still think they're getting in. But if they go 2-2 in their last 4, they beat Arkansas, Georgia, lose these 2. Let's say they win a conference tournament game. I think they're in. Anyway, so I think we agree there. By the way, the home team in the series has won 5 straight, 4-1 ATS. And let's see. And Vanderbilt's won 3 out of 5, though, and covered 4 out of 5 against Texas A&M. And by the way, the Aggies are on a 2-game losing streak. They've lost by 8 and 16 in their last 2 games, so they need to avoid losing 3 straight. Also in the SEC, we've got Ole Miss and Auburn, so we got an even a tighter matchup.
Yeah, well, that's number 1 team in the country there.
And there's Mississippi, 8-6. So this is a tournament team right now, Ole Miss.
And what's the number? What number are we looking at?
13.5.
Now, this is an automatic take because the motivation is absolutely on the dog getting double digits. And Auburn has not been very good at covering big double digits at home. They have not been that good at it.
Yeah, if you look at it, they've won 4 straight, but all 4 were by 12 or less.
You got to factor in the fact that they've played a lot of games. There's the fatigue issue. They know where they stand. And the other team is playing the number 1 team in the country, the tremendous motivation.
The only thing I'd be a little bit, and I'd have to take a look and do a deeper dive with Mississippi's games, but they're only 1-7-1 in their last 9 against the spread.
9-4 on the road for the season. They do figure, I mean, if I'm making the number on this game, it would be very easy to make it double digits. The only thing I could say is the motivation factor. And the other thing is Mississippi has covered 1 out of their last 7 games.
Yeah.
They're not playing
1-7-1.
It's a double digit take, but it's certainly not a massive. It's not a max play at all. It's like a 25% play. Like if you're a $200 bettor, it's a $50 bet.
Okay. Yeah, the last time these 2 teams played at Mississippi was a 10-point win for Auburn as a 5-point road favorite. They've won 7 straight against Ole Miss, covering 5 of those 7. Okay, we have 2 more SEC games, and this is a big one, and I like this one coming up, and that is Arkansas hosting Texas, and Arkansas is a 4.5-point home favorite. There you can see both teams, same identical records. So this is a huge game for both teams. But the fact is, in my mind, Arkansas is a better team than Texas. Not by a little bit. I think they're just a better team. And now you were talking about Texas and the SEC. Get this. We know that just football fans, and that's how I know this more so, we know that this is a rivalry. This used to be 2 teams that used to play in the same conference back in the day. what was it? The old
Southwest.
Conference. And so these are two, rivals, well, the fan base more so, of course, because these two teams like split apart. But this is significant because Arkansas beat Texas just a few weeks ago on the road as a 7-point dog, beat them by 8. But now they're going to get them at home. And this is the first time that Arkansas is going to get their rival Texas on their home court since 2010. So I would think that this is one of those games when you're looking at the ticket package in the beginning of the season, which game do I want to go to? This has got to be at the top of the list for Arkansas basketball fans.
What do we look at? What's the number?
4.5. Texas is 1-4 straight up, 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 games. And all 4 of the losses were by 8 or more points. Arkansas, meanwhile, has won 4 out of 7, covering 6 out of 7. Remember, we liked Arkansas against Missouri, Red Hot Missouri on Friday's show, because we mentioned that even in the losses, Arkansas has been very tough. They've lost a lot of close games to a lot of good teams. And that's why I just think they're a better team than Texas.
Texas is playing terrible right now. Awful. Awful. I mean, they just lost by almost 30 points to South Carolina on the road.
Really?
Yeah.
South Carolina. Damn.
Yeah, they 69-84.
That's pretty bad.
4 days ago. They've gone over the total in their last 6 games. They haven't covered a number in the last 5 games. They've only won 1 game in their last 5 games. They've lost against the spread at home in their last 3 home games. They've only won straight up at home in their last 3 games. Once. They're playing awful. 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 I mean, both teams are 16-11. Arkansas is playing much better. They just beat Missouri. Well, I tell you, I don't like laying points, but I'd be tempted to lay points with this one, with Arkansas.
Yeah, Arkansas, schedule-wise, they're in good shape. They don't have any more big gauntlet games. They just had 3 straight with A&M, Auburn, and Missouri. So that's over with. And that means that they should be able, if they just play their best ball and they don't screw it around, they could end up with a season-ending 5-game win streak, which would definitely put them in the tournament. But, you can't lose to Texas. Matter of fact, you can't even make this thing close. If you guys want to go far, I don't like Texas as a coach. I think he's going to be fired at the end of the season. I don't think he's any good.
With this record, he should be fired. And Arkansas has got they've pulled off of some things this year. I mean, I like Arkansas in this game. I guess I could pull my I could lay the 4. I guess I would definitely love to lay less, but I'd probably make a small bet on Arkansas. I'd definitely make a small bet on Arkansas.
Yeah, things were not going well early in the season. In mid-season when they went through this long losing streak. They had this is 5-6 games. They lost like 6 out of 7, 7 out of 8. Then they went to Kentucky, and that's when everything changed. They were a big dog. Calipari came back to Kentucky. They surprised Kentucky. They won the game easy, and ever since they've been battling hard, even in defeat. And remember, we also talked about the fact that they actually seem to be playing better, even though one of their top scorers got injured and left. And maybe that's one of the things. Maybe the chemistry is better now. So, okay, one more SEC game, and that is Kentucky at Oklahoma. And I like Kentucky as an interesting tournament team. I don't know if they got the championship. I'm going to think long and hard, but they need to get healthy. That's the thing. I really like the way they've competed when they've had these injuries over the last handful of games. And when they can get these 2 kids back, Butler and Robinson, and that's what it looks like it's going to happen. It shouldn't be lost for the season. that Kentucky's going to be a very interesting tournament team. I think they're well coached. And I think they're 40-1. That's the range they're in as far as the championship team. They're a 2-point favorite on the road against an Oklahoma team that snapped that ugly 5-game losing streak with a win against Mississippi State on Saturday. Once again, one of those situations that we talk about all the time. You got one team that's in the tournament, Mississippi State, another team that's floundering. Their chances are dwindling, and they had to play for everything. And it worked out, and they stopped their 5-game losing streak. Now they host Kentucky, and the Wildcats are 4-4 in their last 8, including sweeping Tennessee for the season. So what do you think about this one?
Now this is hard. This is a hard one because I don't know what to expect from these guys. They're so inconsistent.
Look at this. 4-10 Oklahoma is in the SEC right now. That's pretty bad.
The numbers would say you have to play Kentucky, but
they got their confidence back, Oklahoma, with that win against Mississippi State.
You did mention the 2 players too. I mean, that's an issue. I probably just pass it, Greg. I don't have to play every game.
Yeah, and their top scorer, Otega Owe, he had an awful game in their loss to Alabama. Matter of fact, that game was tied or like right there with about 6-7 minutes, 8 minutes to go in the game, something like that. But they just couldn't hang with Alabama with the 2 guys out, and then their leading scorer having a dreadful 2-point night. Anyway, I mention that because now he is going to be playing in the very next game on the road against the team that he used to play for. So if you're a Kentucky fan, that's probably a good news because you would expect that he's going to be fired up to try to get back, save face after what happened to him. He let his teammates down, and now he's going back home. Who knows? Maybe that was a distraction. Maybe he was already thinking of the game. Who knows?
Yeah, we got that going on in the NBA where Luka's going home to play Dallas.
Oh, okay.
That's the news of the day right there.
All right, now let's take a look at the rest. There's a couple more games left. Atlantic 10. I'm not sure we've talked about George Mason and VCU. We talked about that. By the way, speaking of the lines, that line went all the way up to like 12 on Saturday. I think when we were talking about the George Mason VCU game, it was like 8. We went up to like 12.
Yeah,
and George Mason led at halftime. And then VCU blew him out in the second half because George Mason has an inept offense, and that they just went cold. But I know we didn't talk about this either, but did you see how big that St. Mary's line went Saturday?
Yes. Yes.
I couldn't believe it. It went up to 7. 7. And they owned them in that game. It was all St. Mary's. Gonzaga made it close in the second half, but it was like all St. Mary's the entire game.
Well, you got one team that's a little bit better than they were projected to be, and the other team, Gonzaga's just not the same team this year. They don't have the talent that they have had in the past.
Yeah. It's all name recognition right now for Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the Atlantic 10, I just wanted to quickly mention this game because I'm going to go with Loyola in this one. I like Loyola as maybe an interesting sleeper team. I don't know, maybe a bracket buster type. They did lose their point guard earlier in the season, which really blows because that really, and not that he's a big scorer, but he was their top point guard. But they kind of, they righted the ship. They're healthier now. Overall, they've got 3 top scorers.
One line. What's the
they're
price?
a 3.5-point favorite at home against GW. GW's an okay team. They're okay. They weren't expected to be an okay team. They're expected to be mid-range kind of team, but they're hanging around at 7 and 8. Loyola though is right behind George Mason and VCU in 3rd place.
I could like Loyola as a team, but I don't like them as a favorite. It's not. Some teams do very well in certain situations. They're 6 and 9 at home. Basically, these 2 teams are basically almost dead even in quality in their power ratings that I look at. there's not much to separate them, and to lay anything over 1.5 with Loyola would probably be wishful thinking.
So Loyola's 3.5. They've won 6 out of 7, 8 out of 11. In those last 11, 2 of the 3 losses were overtime. They've also covered 7 of the last 8. So I'm going to take, that's a game that I'm going to take. I'm going to take Loyola. And like Jim mentioned, buying the 0.5 point is something that I always like to do myself. All right, now let's go to a couple other games. These are 2 late West Coast games. You have the Mountain West. We're starting to get into the Mountain West now because this is a really good conference to keep an eye on come tournament time. Utah State had a big win against San Diego State on Saturday night, and they're at Boise, and both teams are playing really good basketball. Utah State's won 5 out of 6. They've covered 4 straight. The Broncos are 6-1, straight up ATS last 7. Utah State, meanwhile, has beaten Boise State 5 straight times, covering 4 of 5, including a 2-point win at home earlier this year. That was in early January. So we have second place Utah State. They're a half game behind New Mexico. And right now, Boise State sits in tied for 4th. But those are the teams that would probably make the tournament, those 5 Mountain West teams. I don't know. Colorado State might have a little bit more work to do, but New Mexico, Utah State, San Diego State, Boise State, those are the more you expect them all to get in. Colorado State is doing a good job to try to make it 5. What do you think about this game?
What's the line?
It is just 3.5 Boise State as the home team.
Home team's favored?
Home team is favored.
Buy at the 4, take the dog.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way too. I think Utah State's the better team.
This is good basketball. These 2 teams are good basketball teams.
Yeah.
There's nobody messing around here. These 2, I mean, they're good basketball teams. Yeah, they really are. They really are.
Yeah. Again, they'll both be in the tournament.
They're quality teams. And if I can get 4 points with Utah State, I have to take it. So it's a value play at 4.
Yeah, one of these days we're going to get to do a New Mexico game. So I know they're playing tonight, actually. I think they're playing tonight, right?
Well, we never talk about them, although they're very good. We never get to talk about them.
No. They've already beaten UCLA and VCU this year.
So you're going to talk about this Oregon State San Francisco game, and there's something that really got to be said about this game. Go ahead. That's when we get there.
There you get San Francisco tied for second with Gonzaga, and San Francisco is a definite bubble team tournament. They've won 6 out of 7.
They got 20 wins,
covering 5 out of 7, including beating St. Mary's. See, St. Mary's got 1 loss. That's it to San Francisco in the conference. Meanwhile, Oregon State, now a member of the WCC, is the 2.5 point home favorite. They're 15-2 at home. They've won 3 straight. They beat Gonzaga this year, but again, that's not really that special anymore. And they're an impressive 18-10 against the spread.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's a really good number.
13-2 against the spread at home. God, that's an awesome number. Awesome number.
Yeah. So that's a tough one, especially considering that San Francisco's already beaten Oregon State. They beat them last month. They beat them by 11 as a 4-point home favorite. So Oregon State is trying to even the score. Oregon State is not in the tournament, so they got work to do. I don't know if they can get in. The only way they can get in, they're going to have to make some. This is definitely the start of it. They have to beat San Francisco to start with, if they have any chance of making the tournament.
They got no choice, and they really have not played well, number-wise, in the last few games. They just have not.
Yeah, they don't have any like big marquee type wins. That Gonzaga game, that's it. That's all they got. They don't have anything.
losing to Portland as a 13-point favorite on the road is horrible. And then, I mean, it's just not they're not playing great. However, what's the line?
2.5.
Home team's favored.
Yep.
It's one of those games where how can you bet against a team that's 13-2 at home against the number? I mean, how do you do that?
You can't.
They'd say,
you either take them or don't do the game.
And they're playing terrible. So you're saying, okay, they got that great record, but they're playing terrible.
Well, they're not playing terrible. They've won 3 straight.
Yeah, but the numbers are not.
Yeah, they didn't beat anybody good. No.
Well, in Oregon State, we're talking about Oregon State. They just lost the. No, that was against the spread. Yeah, that's right.
There's only one more game left this season because the WCC, they must be one of those teams that start the tourney early because this is their last home game. So it's senior night for Oregon State. And then they go to that St. Mary's on the road to end the season. Hey, if you want to get to the tournament, win these 2 games. Then you get to the tournament.
San Francisco's played. I mean, they have played a little bit better strength of schedule.
Oh, yeah. They're a better team.
Yeah. And to give them points.
Yeah. Definitely San Francisco's the better team. They're a bubble team. They are definitely there. They got a shot. Good shot to make the tournament.
I can't.
They beat Boise early in the year.
I think I have to go to the. I think I have to look at San Francisco, even though the numbers. I can't. I'm probably just going to pass.
Yeah.
But I can't lay the points. I can't lay the points with a team that's putting up those kind of numbers.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. And then the final game of the season for San Francisco. Gonzaga. Boy, that would be a good game to go with. I think I'm already going to take San Francisco because they've already lost to Gonzaga. If they get the home game now, and the spread is not going to be that bad, they might even dog. So that's for our Friday show. I'm telling you right now, I know I'm going to wind up taking San Francisco against Gonzaga that night. So that's a game we'll be talking about on Friday's show. That's let's just go through the games now. So let's see what we got here. Okay. Let me get this out of the way. Okay. So we both have Michigan State?
Yes.
Okay. And that's 4, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Are you taking Ole Miss officially as a 13.5 point dog?
No.
Okay.
I would like to, but I just.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it either. I don't like that 1-7-1 spread record.
Let's say this: if it would be to me, it would be a quarter bet. In other words, it would be 25% of my normal bet, because there might be enough value in the fact that Auburn hasn't been covering double-digit numbers at home. However, it can't be a full bet. It's just not enough there for me. I am definitely going to be on Arkansas.
Yeah. I'm going to take, just so you know, I'm going to take Vandy. And then I'm not taking Ole Miss like you. I've already said I've got Loyola. I agree with you. That's my favorite one of the day. I'm taking Arkansas as well. So that's 4.5 down to 4.
And I have one more play.
And then you've got the Utah State getting 4 against Boise.
That's it. That's out of this group. I
agree. I'll go with that as well.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. Don't forget, we got the Playbook weekly show is tomorrow. So I have no idea what to look forward to, but we'll find out. We'll see the format. I know I did. I made the suggestion. I haven't heard back from Mark yet. I got to resend that email out again to you guys because I didn't hear back from you guys. The suggestion about I'd like to be able to get our channel handicappers to make special appearances on our weekly show. So you didn't get that email?
Well, I get a lot of emails. And
I know, that's why I asked.
Sometimes I don't read them right away.
I know. I gotta resend that one since it's tomorrow's show. I'll find out because Mark could just surprise me tomorrow and go, all right, That sounds good to me. Let's do that. I'll be like, well, I didn't even call them to schedule the interview.
I am definitely going to have scheduling issues because of this show issue that I told you about.
Yeah, well, that's coming up. It's come tournament time.
Actually, the card starts tomorrow. I was just told, and I can't.
So you won't be on tomorrow's show then?
Well, I'm gonna try to do both somehow.
Well, what time are you going? What time is your show?
Same time.
Well, you can't do both. Don't worry about it.
I catch the tail end of it sometimes.
That's possible. Yeah,
but
maybe that'll work.
That's why I wanted to move it up to 11. And see, I can't. It's just I don't have any say on what time that starts.
Yeah. So anyway, but I know once we get to the 2-week tournament period time, I know that's when we definitely will be on an hour earlier on the Playbook show.
Then that will be helpful.
Yeah. And then Jim and I will be back on Friday to talk more college hoops for Saturday's action. And we're at that point too, Jim. I don't know, but I really don't like this. I mean, sometimes it's good, but there's something that's not great about handicapping college basketball games at this time of season, because you don't know if some of these teams even really care about playing right now. It's like some teams were already in the tournament and they just want to get the regular season over with. So
you might have that with Auburn easily. I mean, he's an experienced head coach. He knows where he's at. He's looking at a national championship. Now the question now comes in: is it that important that we win our conference tournament? Is it that important? And you can get into this is a headspace stuff. It's kind of like what's important to these guys, and they clearly are number one in the country. I know Duke. Everybody says Duke. It's not Duke.
No, it's not Duke.
It's not Duke. Too soft the schedule all year.
Yep.
To me, I'd put Houston in second place there.
I agree. 100%.
I'd put definitely Duke's in the top 4, but it would be Auburn and Houston would be my top 2 teams.
Well, now, how I feel about Florida.
I have to say this: I'm extremely impressed with some of the Michigan State stuff that's been going on. They're playing some pretty good ball, so you can't ignore them. And then they're
St. John's.
Oh, that you can't deny. Rick Pitino, he has this magic dust he sprinkles on these people, and they play like crazy for him. I mean, he's such a good coach. Coaching is so important.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, and he's a good coach.
It might be more important in college basketball than any of the sports. It's so big at come tournament time. These coaches are awesome. So yeah, that's what's coming up. Also, don't forget we have our horse racing show. We have more Kentucky Derby prep races, 3 of them this week. Kentucky Derby prep races we're going to handicap with John Hardoon. We might do it on Wednesday, which is tomorrow, but if not, it'll be Thursday. We've got our hockey reports out with Kevin, so he's doing a good job. He'll have them out every Tuesday and Thursday. We're going to record the NASCAR show tomorrow. There's a road course in Texas we're going to talk about. So we're a very busy channel, a lot going on, and before you know it, more baseball too. So we already have the 2 baseball shows up, AL, NL, a little bit of a hot stove deal with Andy and with Tony. I'm sure they're going to start to get more into that as we get closer to the beginning of the season. And Jim, thanks for doing this as always. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow on the Playbook show, but I'll definitely see you on Friday.
Okay. Have a good one. Thanks, guys.
Don't forget to subscribe.